Welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm Ryan Harris, your host. We're back at Heydays here. We are back to back with these podcasts, but it's fun to get everybody together. We've got some great guests coming up here in a second. We're going to talk about mod sleds and mod 858s. Like, everybody's excited to hear about that stuff. First, real quick, our sponsor for the Snow West Show, brought to you by Polaris Snowmobiles. We just saw the 17th anniversary limited editions that were released, and for the month of September, you can go to your Polaris dealer and you can get a limited edition Polaris 70th anniversary beanie. Go to your dealership, check those out, ask for the free beanies, check out the limited edition sleds that were just released. They released a 9R RMK 155 325. It's really cool. It looks like the 98, the blue RMK 700. Also sponsoring the show is 320 Ranch, located in Big Sky, Montana. You guys ride up there, like north of West Yellowstone, south of Bozeman. If you ever get out there, next time you're out west, if you want to go somewhere where there's no riders and just deep snow, 320 Ranch area in Big Sky, Montana, Carrot Basin area. Great stuff. Check them out at 320ranch.com. And joining the show this year is Fly Racing. Fly Racing is the #1 gear brand in Supercross and Motocross, and they're bringing that same innovation and energy to snowmobiling. Whether it's monosuits, helmets, boots, gloves, or goggles, Fly Racing has you covered from head to toe. Check them out at flyracing.com or Fly Racing Snow on socials. All right, to my left, we have Brady from Speed Shop Inc SSI. And you guys have been around the industry for a long time. You're one of the staples in the performance side of things, especially in the Midwest. The other half of the SSI company is Black Diamond Extreme. I don't know if people out there listening that remember back in the mid-2000s, the BDX Diamond Drive.
Yep.
That was an innovation that came out of your shop. So you guys have had huge impacts on the industry over the years. And then to the left there, we have Mike from Ibexx, Mike Klassen. Do you ever talk about the Bully Dog background?
Well, sometimes.
I mean, everybody knows Bully Dog product from back in the diesel days when it was just a heyday of black smoke and high horsepower diesels.
Yep.
You were the guy behind Bully Dog Technologies.
Yes, myself and my two brothers were ones that did Bully Dogs. So.
Yeah, that is awesome. All right, and then down there at the end we have Austin Becker, backcountry rider. You're going to be piloting this Catalyst 900 big bore.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
assuming for the winter.
Yep.
All right. Where do you come out of? You're a Midwestern guy?
No, I'm from New York originally.
Oh, I was thinking the other side.
Yeah.
So we're going from west to far east. That's right.
Yeah.
And so we rode with you when we all got together. Was that April? I think
Is either really early April or really late March.
late
we were
March,
rock
early
skipping.
April. Yeah. Oh yeah. We were on dry bare ground,
We came home in T-shirts and wet pants.
which wasn't that different from December out there either.
No.
Yeah.
About the same amount of snow. But so we all rode late March, early April, and we rode this Catalyst. That one was it wasn't an 858 power plant. It was a 600 with a 900.
600 power plant with a 9. Yep.
So 900 Catalyst, and that thing was an absolute monster.
Yeah, they're a little spicy.
So can you take, if you do it an 858 to a 900, is it the same setup, or would you rather take a 600 and convert it to a 9?
I don't think we'll be able to, just because the cases are different. I mean, we have some things in mind for 858, but the 900 kit for the Catalyst has to come out of a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've got a 6 out there, or you're picking one up, because that's the whole idea with this Catalyst rollout was, they'll build all this handful of Catalyst 600 mountain sleds. Everybody will want that because it's the new platform, and then the next year they'll follow with an 858. So everybody's going to dump the 600. If you go pick one of those up, I mean, you can throw an Ibexx turbo on it. You can throw the SSI 900 kit on it.
Yeah.
And have a monster sled.
Yeah,
for
and I mean,
minimal cost.
now you can find 600s for what, 9 to 11 grand, depending on the shape that they're in. So I mean, you could be into a 9. I mean, we totally rebuild the motors. I mean, there's nothing would be used on that technically. I mean, you'd be into it for under a new 858.
Well, yeah, and the rest of the sled is 858.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, the chassis is phenomenal.
Yeah. And it's such a lightweight machine. Like going from the Ascender to the Catalyst is just night and day difference. Like Cat really nailed it on that one.
Yeah.
Got back to the basics. I was talking to somebody that stopped by the booth here a minute ago, and he had messaged me on Instagram, and he was like, I've got a 9R on snow check. but I'm waiting to hear what you guys have to say about the 858. Should I get one? And I was like, it never hurts to snow check 2 sleds, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Help the industry.
Make your decision this fall. So he was saying that, yeah, I ordered an 858. I got my 9R still. I'm going to go ride them both. I'll see which one I like. But he was asking, he's like, does the Alpha 1 slide out and push and kind of slide off of a side hill as easily as the Ascender? And I said, you know what? It's not. It will a little bit, but it's nothing like the Ascender, because the Ascender, you're like pushing a snowplow.
Yeah.
So that Alpha 1 is pushing the front end, a heavy front end that doesn't want to get up on top of snow.
Yep.
And now that you've got that paired with the super slim, lightweight chassis, the Alpha 1 behaves totally differently.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
It doesn't wash out because it can drive forward. There's no drag.
Yeah, it was a totally, I would almost call it a breath of fresh air. When the first time we went out in was Island Park in early December, which we all know was not very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they had
Would have been phenomenal Michigan snow.
Yeah. They had maybe a foot of snow and a hard crust, and then we had just gotten a real wet, heavy snow. Like, perfect conditions for that thing to wash out. And, I mean, we were putting that places, and I'm like, we're waiting for it to wash out, and it never did.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah, that trait that people are hesitant about on the Alpha 1, it's really not an issue on the Catalyst.
No.
It's totally different.
No.
So talk about your 900 kit. Like, how did this kind of come to fruition? You guys have been building cool motors for a long time.
Yeah, so we've been building 9s on top of the 8 bottom end since 2014 when SSI started. And, I mean, it was really kind of I would almost say, we knew we wanted something bigger than a 6. So we're like, well, we have this top end that works pretty well. How can we make it work with the 6? Because obviously the cases are a little bit different. So, I mean, it took us a while, and we actually ended up first building it on top of like an old just C-Tech 600 bottom end, and tried it in a Ascender for a year in 2023. So we rode that, and I mean that's just kind of how we came up with it. And then, I mean, we had our challenges once the Catalyst came out. Obviously the pipe routing was different, and we had a couple humps. So I mean, we were a little late to that, but I mean that's just kind of how it started. We knew we wanted something bigger, and we knew we could make it work. I mean, we have all the machines and the facilities to make it work.
Well, and Arctic Cat gave you enough lead time, too, announcing this Catalyst like 18 years ago. They gave shops like you a lead time to say, okay, we know a 6 is coming, we know a new chassis is coming, let's get rolling on existing technology and be ready to roll this thing.
We were kind of lucky enough to have some good reps at Cat and some dealers that gave us some sneak peeks, and we were able to do a little bit of that early. So that was helpful.
So you guys build the hardware, the engine parts, do all the boring and the cylinder plating and porting and all that. And then you've got, we've got another guest online, Alex Klassen from Ibexx. Him and William helped with the tuning, right?
Correct.
Getting all the setup.
Yeah, they were super integral in getting all that stuff kind of.
How does this all come together? Where you're building engines, Alex and William are coming in on the tuning side. Are you spending just tons of time on the snow, sitting in front of a computer?
All of it. I mean, we're spending a ton of time on the snow. I think we were out west like 10 or 12 times last year. And coming from Minnesota, it's not a short drive.
No.
I mean, I'm on the phone with William probably once a week, if that, or probably more in the winter. So it was just, we've spent so much time together. And I mean, we made a pretty dang good team that we've come to find out. Alex, how did we even get linked up together?
Well, it was actually through Todd when he worked for you for a year. He's the one that kind of got it all together, and then we had bought some parts from Jeff through BDX, some helixes and stuff. So William had a good relationship with Jeff, and then when we got Ray's knowledge up on there, and of course Brady's. I don't like giving him props, but Brady's work ethic to get stuff done, and there was just a lot of heads that came together to get a package built, and we were nervous about the 600 going to a 9, but we have now ran it enough, and we even have two turboed 900s out there that have been pretty much flawless once you get the tuning correct, and a lot of it was Todd. We worked with him a little bit before he came on at BDX, and SSI, and then he kind of put us all in touch, and it kind of just grew from there. So
when you say you worry a little bit about taking a 6 to a 9, is it bottom end stuff? Is it cylinder wall thickness? Do you have enough room there to punch this thing out to a 9 without worrying about heat?
I think we were all just a little skeptical on, like, will it work? Because there's so many things that needed to get changed. And I mean, the nice thing about, like, I don't think everyone knows on the Catalyst, the crank is the same crank as the 800s. They just changed the rods. So we threw 800 rods, we swapped the rods on it, and I mean, there's your 800 crank. So
the bottom end is solid.
The bottom end is solid.
Nothing to worry about there.
And I mean, honestly, we're using 800 cylinders on the top end. But that was the biggest hump we needed to get over, was there's just not enough room in the 600 cylinders. And like our biggest issue was, how do we make these cylinders work on this case? Which, I mean, we got to do a lot to them.
So what do you have to do to make that happen? Because
there's a lot of machine work involved in the cases and the cylinders. We have to relocate
like aligning ports, getting transfer ports to line up, or
well, it's mostly all just like mounting. Like the engine stuff lines up on its own. We had to machine the cases in a way that we knew that the cylinder would be centered in the crank, or in the cases, I should say. So I mean, there was just a lot of trial and error. We got a couple dead motors. We got a couple prototypes, as I would call them.
He's laughing. You were probably riding them.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but that was probably before me.
Yeah. So, Alex, when you start tuning a brand new project like this reminds me of like mod sledding in the 90s. Like you are starting from scratch and just trying to get an engine to light, and then once you do, figuring out where you're at and then going up or down from there. But now we're in the world of like 3D fuel mapping. How do you do this? How do you map something that is just totally a one-off build?
I mean, we've been tuning the C-Tech since the beginning of 19, so a lot of the knowledge comes from there. I mean, an engine works the way an engine works. You know, they're a big air compressor. They need fuel, air, and spark to run. So it's figuring out the sweet spot of where it wants to run. So leaning a lot on that knowledge, of course, the knowledge that we had from Bully Dog helped, quite a bit. I'd say the biggest thing was just trusting Ray and the team there at BDX and SSI that, they were pretty confident it would work. And we were like, well, we're going to give it our best shot and everything. And starting one-off builds like that, I mean, William and I we're kind of a sucker for stuff that's one-off, so it wasn't very hard to convince us that, hey, we should try this. And there's a lot of tools at our disposal nowadays that, the guys back in the 90s didn't have. AFRs and stuff like that weren't a thing back then. And so if you tried to ask me to jet some sleds, I probably am not very good, but my dad can run circles around me on that. When it comes to the 3D fuel mapping, we've grown up in that world. So, there's a lot of trial and error with it. It's getting it right and understanding where everything goes. It's not just like, oh, this is your fuel map, this is your timing map. It's understanding when all those maps come into play. For instance, ArctiCat has a pretty unique way that they do it, and it makes it so that you have a lot more control over altitude and all that stuff, and your throttle and everything, because engines flow differently at different things. They're all the same, but they're all different, as I'm sure you've seen back in the mod days. So it's understanding what's going on inside the ECU and how ECUs calculate everything, rather than just putting a number in there and going, it needs this much fuel and be done with it. But we lean a lot on the knowledge of what we learned over the past 6 years, and then what we came from at Bully Dog. My brother started tuning the 13 Pro snowmobile back when Silver first started and stuff. We helped him do his first tuning and stuff, and William was a lot of that. So that's where a lot of that knowledge comes from.
Yeah. So back to that blue sled, and I'll go get some video of that, and we'll show it here so everybody can see what we're talking about. But I fell in love with that thing, like just because it was so clean and light, but had all the meat of a strong, like we had ridden the 858 not too many weeks prior to that.
Yeah, I think that was only like 2 weeks after
about
demo
2
days.
weeks after that. Yeah, we were kind of in the same area on the 858, and that thing was your 9 felt like a stronger 858. Like good bottom end, good top end, great response, strong mid range. So I'm going to call that like the poor, I don't know, like we were talking about earlier, poor man's 858, poor man's 900 cat. But man, that thing ran good. And then you had another sled up there that you guys had thrown a turbo on.
Yeah.
The Catalyst, the Ibexx Catalyst turbo.
Yep.
On your 900.
On a 900.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, geez, you talk about stacking stuff. I was waiting for the nitrous bottle to come out the back.
It wasn't far behind. It was not far behind.
Right, but that was a rocket ship. But you talk about like old school, just clean mod stuff. Like that was so fun to get on those things and ride, and just feel that. But yeah, the tuning thing, I just don't know how that all comes together. I don't understand that stuff that well. But you guys have done a great job on that 900. What else did you have on that blue sled?
So that one, I think that one had like our first generation of our prototype front end.
Okay, it did, yeah.
Yeah.
So the handling was, yeah.
Yeah, and that one was like, I think we're on version 4 now.
So what have you changed on there?
So there was little things we've tweaked with camber a little bit, but then we also had we were hitting the tie rods because we had to change some locations on stuff. So like some of the versions weren't necessarily making it better, but making it work. So like the first one, we couldn't even turn more than probably 45 degrees. So yeah, there's been some revisions on that stuff, but I mean, all in all, I mean that front end rocks, and it was the perfect time to go out there and test it because I mean it was bad snow. You couldn't have been in worse snow, so we could tell exactly what it was going to do.
Yeah, and the handling on that was really good. Talk about your clutching too, because you had a clutch setup up there that was very easy to tune, like just on the fly. Yeah.
So we run like magnetic weights, so it's pretty easy to change them, and then like we use their tool to open the primary. Basically all you can do is pull the belt off, and then it compresses the primary, and then you don't have to hold it. You don't have to worry about like the C-clamps back in the days and snapping your fingers in the clutch. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's super sturdy tool, and then I mean, all we need is really either like a 90-degree pick or an Allen wrench, and you're changing weights.
And then what about like the second? You've got a secondary adjuster on there too?
No adjuster on the secondary. That's all pretty much.
Oh, I think of the boost control on your turbo.
That's
what I'm thinking of. That little cam.
Wastegate.
Yeah, that was pretty trick because you could dial up the boost, and they were like, okay, this is going to be like kind of a mild turbo setup. And then you pop the thing out and turn it and put it back in. It's like, okay, here's full mod. Like get ready for this.
And it's billet too, so it's terrible. I mean, it's just shiny under the hood.
Yeah. Oh man, that was
a little bit of bling.
Yeah,
that's trick stuff.
Functional bling, right?
Yeah.
So is the 900 turbo kit? Is that something somebody can buy?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how does that all come together? That's just a one shop kit.
I mean, yeah, there's a company out there that we're running through to sell them. He's kind of the one that started the whole project and wanted to do it, and he actually just picked up the 9 right before Heydays to bring it out there. Rank Rides LLC.
Rank, right? That's the other one we rode. Okay.
Yep, he wanted to. He's the one that kind of wanted to do it. William and I had done it before. We did it on our 19, so we were pretty excited to have somebody that wanted, kind of had the same thought process as us, and we felt really comfortable with how the motor was going to run and how it was going to handle the boost, and it's a runner for sure. So right now, I think he's still putting it together and everything, trying to get everything done so that you can buy it, but it's basically strictly going to go through him for now, depending on what happens. But he was kind of the starter of it all, got with BDX and then got with us to build it. So
right. And there's a ton of time into the tuning of that particular, it's kind of a one-off thing at this point that we did for Rank Rides, was tuning it and stuff. So but it's that's a powerhouse.
Yeah, that's a wild one. And you guys you're working on, so you still have the 600 Catalyst turbo system.
Yep.
And you're working on 858 stuff.
Yep.
And then Brady, you've got 858 stuff in the pipeline too.
Yep.
What's kind of on the laundry list there?
So we have some, like, obviously we have options. We're kind of known, like, NA stuff for, like, our stage kits, like, even before big bores. I mean, the stage kits rock. We partner with Jaws on those and Ibexx with tuning. So it's like, it's Jaws pipe and our whatever goes into whatever stage you have. And then it's all tuned by those, by Ibexx. But, I mean, we have those in the pipeline for 858. And then also, I mean, we have some stuff that we might talk about off the air, but I mean, we're going to let it roll out so we have like stage kits ready to go early season. But we might be playing a little bit in the spring with some really fun stuff.
There's got to be some, I mean, you probably don't have access to the motors, but
yeah, not at the moment.
Got to be cool head stuff that you can do there.
Yeah.
I mean, but from a development standpoint, because that's what you kind of specialize in. You take the engineering from the manufacturer, and all of you aftermarket companies are really good at this.
Yep.
Taking this product that they've got hours and hours of validation and testing and tuning into, and then you're taking that and you're like, okay, well, we can rework the compression dome shape.
Yeah.
You know, we can change the transfer ports and bore this thing out a little bit.
Yep.
Like, how are you finding performance gains on something that has already been through the ringer?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like Alex said with tuning. I mean, it's the knowledge of that stuff has been around for years. Like port timing, all that stuff. It's pretty much all formulated. All you really have to do is just measure the engine. You're going to figure out what it likes, and then after that, real world testing is the biggest thing. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it doesn't like it, it doesn't like it. Like if it wants a different RPM, it wants a different RPM. I mean, we can't be locked into a box where we want to like say, here, this is what this motor is going to do. We're kind of have to roll with it a little bit.
So why do the OEMs stop where they do? You know, why do they leave performance on the table? Is that always a reliability thing, or they just kind of find a number that works?
Well, that too, and I'm sure it's just like the diesel industry. Their hands are tied by the government. So I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but I'm sure right. They have their reasons for all that.
Well, and I think a lot of the things too, when you start to mass produce things, you have to leave yourself a certain amount of tolerance that you allow for things to work. And as a aftermarket company, we can refine things down more. People are going to pay more money for a mod engine than they are going to pay for one from Cat, because now we can get down and refine everything to a tighter tolerance, better fitment, all that stuff. Because when you cast something, for instance, you just can't. It doesn't come out perfect every time. It's a little bit different here, depending on how much heat and all the different things that they use. So they do a real good job on what they're doing for mass production, but the window is open for when we want to get in and refine things.
Brady, what's been the most fun project you've worked on?
The most fun project. I was a real big fan of, I don't know if you remember that black and green twin pipe build that we did for McClure 2 years ago.
Yep.
That was, granted, he gave us about a 4-day window. I think Tristan brought that sled down the Monday before Haydays.
It's probably a day longer than they normally have.
Yeah. But I mean, that project was fun, and that sled was a hoot.
Yeah, that sled was a rocket.
But I mean, now getting into the Catalyst chassis, I mean, if we could do that in the Catalyst, whew. I mean, you've rode it. Everyone that's rode a Catalyst, I mean, it's kind of tough to go back to an Ascender.
It is,
so,
yeah.
So
it ruins the old chassis.
I know.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to play on that thing anymore.
So like that's like the 9 in the Catalyst right now. I mean, it's just so playful and it's so fun to ride. So
torquey.
Oh,
I think the Catalyst chassis is like the first sled I got on, and it felt like I've been riding it for years. I never had skipped a beat.
I agree with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. What do you like riding the most? Like when you come out west quite a bit. Spent most of your winter out there?
Yeah, this past season I came out with the gentleman down at Ibexx, and I worked in their shop for the remainder of the season. But normally I only get out for like 7 days a year with my family, and we just go wherever the snow's the deepest. We check the radars and all that, and basically point and shoot and drive out from New York, all of us stuck in a pickup truck, and that's basically it. 7 days. The most I got before moving out with these guys was it was 14 or so, and that's because I would fly out. I would leave work Friday and then fly out, and then like go to an event like at Cook City Sled Fest, and then ride, and then take a flight Sunday and then drive directly to work without sleeping, and then just go to work. So that's how I got more days on the snow.
That works. Is that the same program you'll be on this year? Or?
No, I'm going to move back out and work with the gentleman down at Ibexx again. Had a good time, so I may as well go back. But
if you pass the,
I hate to bring that on.
Yeah, oh yeah, you got to go back for an interview first. You gotta have that follow up.
Right.
Oh man, that's gonna be a 35-hour drive.
Yeah, sometimes more. I went out to Idaho one time solo. It was over 40 hours because I went up 94 and it shut down, so I had to backtrack down to 90 and then go to Island Park.
God, that's incredible. Man. Well, the snow's got to be worth it. I mean, a bad snow year out west for us is 2 feet, which is a phenomenal snow year for. What do you normally get in New York?
So sometimes, like in our ride areas, we get like 4+ storms, like just one big dump, and then it's melted in a week. So, I mean, it's baseless, sugary snow.
Yeah. Now the riding out west has got to be totally different for you there.
It's phenomenal.
Just unrestricted and being able to go wherever.
It's like a canvas.
Yeah. And you spend a lot of time on the SSI 900?
I did a bunch of R&D with them over the season, along with Ibexx and their turbo kit, the Catalyst 600, and I have a good amount of time on it, for sure.
Yeah. What do you think about that 900 compared to, did you get on any other brands like 9R or Skidoo 850?
I didn't get that much time on a Skidoo, I'm not going to lie. I don't know how to ride those things. But but the 9R, I did get some time on it. And, man, like the snap from the BDX 900 SSI is just night and day, I think. I mean, I don't want to brand bash or anything, but the 9R is impressive to an extent, but the 900 that BDX came out with is just like what you expect out of a 900cc. And that goes back to like brands being stuck to regulations, and I believe. So.
Well, and it speaks a lot, too, to what you guys could do, Ibexx and SSI, what you can do just to somebody's 9R.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you go pick up the right clutch kit and do a few components there, and you can wake that thing up. Totally
exactly.
Sled.
Utilize the power. I believe that.
And Alex, you guys do a little tuning on those too, don't you? On the NAs?
We haven't messed too much with them, but yeah, to try and get the plug fouling to stop.
But on the Patriot boost, I know you've got some cool stuff there too.
Yeah. The biggest thing is the clutching on the Patriot boost. We do something different than all of our competitors. We run a completely different profile. We actually have a Gen 2 kit coming out this year with a better helix that seems to put more power to the ground on the boost. The 9R has been our second most sold kit. It's a super, super strong kit. It makes the 9R just, I don't know, that much more fun to ride, you know. And that's a tree killer, and so it makes it super snappy, you know, to hold the power back. You know, people try to, you got to up the actual overall weight of the flyweight itself, and we actually go to a lighter weight, but because we curve our profile, which we've talked, you know, multiple times about how much different our clutching is we run anywhere from 10 to 20% lighter than anybody else on the market, and that gives you that snappiness. It keeps the 9R snappiness with it, but still maintains at that peak RPM that you want to run. You know, if you have a pipe or a can or whatever, you know, completely stock, it gives you that. Plus we're getting more track speed at the top end, which helps. Track speed always helps. So it just turns a already nasty machine into a nastier machine with the clutching side of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And then Brady, you've got a whole line on the BDX side of things, bumpers, and what other hard parts you offer in there for Polaris, Cat, Skidoo?
I would say our biggest inventory catalog is for Cat for sure. I mean, Cat, especially the Catalyst. I mean, we just came out with that front end. We have a tank. We have bumpers. We have running boards, which we just unveiled here today, a couple hours ago. But I mean, Polaris.
Talk about the running boards, because that's something that the Cat needs. Like that's a cool setup. Yeah.
So I was not a huge fan of the composite boards from the first time I rode them, and then we rode the Cat accessory boards, which I mean we couldn't get over the price point when we first bought them. We were shocked by that, and then we did find a few things we weren't a huge fan of on the accessory boards, but I mean all in all they're a pretty decent board. But we knew there was a bit to be improved on there. So I mean the snow evacuation out of that board is pretty much a 100%. The install is by far easier than I would argue the accessory board is, just because of how it's made and the pieces we have on it. And I mean, they're at a good price point. We're not charging you $800-900 for a set of boards.
And so if you've got the composite board on your Catalyst, this is a pretty easy swap.
Yeah, I think those boards, the factory boards, I think you got to drill out one rivet and it's all screws, hold it on, and then I think we're 8 rivets a side, and like 4 screws.
All right. So yeah, if you put a stump or a log through your composite board, and if you haven't, you will. Yeah, these are pretty cool boards to go check out. And bumpers, you're doing Catalyst front and rear?
We haven't worked on rears yet. I honestly really like the factory rear bumper. I think Cat knocked that one out of the park. I don't see a reason to change it. I mean, I think I've saw 2 kink tunnels on a Catalyst already, but they kinked.
Nothing like a Cinder, though.
No, and they kinked like under the tank, so it wasn't the bumper. So I didn't see a reason to make a rear yet. Haven't found one, but the front, we knew it needed some protection.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Talk about your tank, too, because that was on the 900 that we rode.
Yeah, so the tank, I think the stock Catalyst tank is like 9.9 gallons or something, almost 10. We're 12.5, and then we relocate the battery, if you have an electric start model, to under the seat. And the battery that we use, so we put a smaller pocket in there. So the only bad part is if you have electric start, you have to run the battery we supply, but the battery's a pound, 1.1 pound.
So you're saving up to 10, right?
Well, I think I weighed the factory battery, and I think it was like 13.8. So you're saving like 12 pounds.
Wow, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
That's worth doing right there,
and
plus a couple gallons.
Yeah, so we're almost 3 gallons over stock, and then the battery, which is really nice to maintain an electric start feature, because I bought my first electric start sled this year, and I don't think I'll ever buy a pull start again.
Yeah.
Especially with a 9 on it with some compression.
Yeah, I'm a little different from you there. Until it's a 0 penalty weight net,
Yeah.
But I agree with you. The electric start is nice to have.
Yeah.
But I'll still take a pull start just for the little bit of weight savings. But I know Brock Jenna, he was there on the ride with us. Mm-hmm. We're going to get together and talk about more of our ride experience on that sled, the Turbo 600 Ibexx that we rode, the Turbo 900, collaboration of SSI and Ibexx. Mm-hmm. We've got more to talk about there on these Catalyst projects that you guys are working on. But it's been fun to have you on the show and talk about big bores and talk about engines, and because you don't get to talk about this kind of stuff with Polaris and Skidoo much anymore because it's all factory and just pull and go type stuff. But this nitty gritty engine building stuff, like, that's still cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that want to go build a motor and get some horsepower that way and stick with the NA stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, SSI has done a fantastic job with that 900. It's super, super impressive sled, as Austin said. It just so torquey and responsive. Anybody looking for a big NA sled, that's the way to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show with us. And like I said, follow up. Watch for another show where we'll be talking about our ride reports on these sleds that we rode. But again, thanks to Brady from Speed Shop Inc, Mike from Ibexx, Austin, soon to be Ibexx, as long as you pass the interview.
Yep.
And then Alex on the phone. Thanks for being available to chat with us today.
Not a problem.
All right. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.